Retiring early is only for those who are well off. No, it isn't. Guys, it doesn't take as much money as you may think it does. Leave me some comments. For those of you who have retired early, was it hard for you? Did it take a lot of discipline? Or was it easier than a lot of people think? Yeah, it kind of is sometimes. My story, for those that some of you have already heard, I didn't start saving seriously till I was 40. I will give you 6 steps on how to start saving for an early retirement in your 40s. I didn't start till I was 40. I was making about $55,000 a year when I started at 40. I was able to do it. I retired on my 59th birthday in 2021 with just over $500,000. It's not that hard, guys. As long as you have, let's say, adequate discipline, it's not that hard. But the biggest thing is consistency. You need to be consistent in your savings. You can't do like what I did when I was younger. I would, in my 30s, late 30s, I would save for a couple months and then I'd have, I want to get a better apartment. How can I do it? I can cut down on my contributions. Yeah, not the smartest thing in the world, right? But when you're that age, yeah, I should have been more disciplined, but I wasn't. So here you go. Here's 6 steps on how to do it. Retire early when you're starting in your 40s. Number 1, know what you're actually working toward. What does that mean? Well, here's what that means. You got to figure out, well, number 1, are you going to have kids later in life? If so, and a lot of times you don't know that stuff, right? You meet someone, it might happen. That's something out of your control. But you have to figure out, are you going to be a single person? Now, in my case, being single, yes, it is easier to retire early. It's just a fact. If you're married, you can still do it, but the clearer your vision is for what you want your retirement to be like. What do you want it to look like when you retire? Will you be a world traveler? Okay, well, you're going to have to save up a lot of money in order to retire early for that, probably. Are you, content with simpler things? Like me, I don't travel much. I am happy where I'm at, just kind of hanging out, doing this and that, doing my thing, my hobbies, my side hustles, whatever. That is fulfilling to me. You have to figure out what your retirement is going to look like. That's the first step. Number 2, you need to reduce your costs so you need less later. Okay, some of you could be, just going along in a very high expense lifestyle when you're, let's say, 40 years old, 42. And then you figure out, if I continue like this, I might have to work till I'm like 65 to retire and to still have this kind of lifestyle. A lot of people, they figure it out in like their early 40s, some even in their 30s. I don't need that kind of lifestyle when I'm retired. If you can reduce your costs early, the earlier the better, and be comfortable with that. A lot of people aren't, and that's fine. Well, just know you're going to need a lot more money later in life. Guys, one thing I really regret where I reduced stuff, this is like 10 years before I retired, I sold my second house and I just rented after that. Okay. My idea was going to be, some of you know already, was to buy a tiny house, plop it down on a cheap piece of land and live like that. So what did I do? I kept reducing my belongings. Now that I've retired, and this is kind of aside the point of reducing your costs, but I just popped in my head. It's kind of similar, although I was just reducing my belongings. Now that I'm in a decent sized retirement house, a little over 1,000 square feet, those thousands of CDs that I kept giving away, taking to stores and selling them because my space was getting smaller until finally the last rental I had was about 500 square feet. I could have fit those thousands of CDs in the house I'm in now. What do I have left? A couple hundred? So I regret that. Yeah, it was a big regret for me. Hey, for those of you guys see me for the first time, my name is Duane, and this is a retirement channel for people on moderate income. If you think you might like that, think about subscribing and like the video. If you really like it, down here are 2 other ways you can support this channel. So number 3 out of 6, move up those catch-up contributions when you're in your 50s. Some may be, you may be in your mid 50s and still wanting to retire early. Well, you know what? If you're close enough and you haven't started doing those maximum contributions to your catch-up contributions, which you can do once you reach 50, move them up, max them out. For those in your 40s, know that when you hit 50, that's a possibility. Max them out, guys. That is free maddtional money that you can put in. You're also probably going to get a bigger employee match for some companies. Some kind of hit, their max around 6-10%, but some keep going. I've heard of companies that will keep going up if you keep going up. If you're in one of those, it makes all the sense in the world to hit those max contributions after 50. And guys, I'm telling you, if you can do that, the magic of compounding. Once you've hit like 10, especially 15 years into your savings journey, that magic of compounding just takes off, man. You'll look at your balance, you look at it about 3 months later and you're like, whoa, I'm not doing too bad. So max out those catch-up contributions. Number 4, grow your investments without making it too complicated. One of the biggest mistakes that people make is jumping in and out of the market. Just get some simple investments. Doesn't have to be too complicated. Get some index funds, do target dates if you want. Take a little small percentage and mess around with some exotic investments if you want, but make it a small percentage. But the biggest mistake is people jumping in and out of the market when we have a bad market downturn. It can be called timing the market, okay? Doesn't always mean timing the market. Some of them just get freaked. They see their balance going down. I'm 10,000 down, I'm 20,000 down, and they move all their money out of the market. Now, is it because they are waiting for a good time to go in, timing the market? Not always. Some people just get freaked and they have it out of the market for a year, even 6 months, even 3 months. Can be huge, dare I say huge, because when those rebounds happen, they happen pretty quick and pretty fast, right? Over a couple weeks, maybe even a month, you'll see your balance go way up. So don't do that. Don't move your investments in and out. Just slow and steady, okay? Just stick to your guns and eventually you will make it up. S&P averages about 10% return per year over a decade. Okay, you're going to have ups and downs. Don't move it out. Number 5, practice living on a smaller budget. What I advise people to do is a couple years before retirement, give yourself a trial retirement budget run. See if that works for you. You know what? You might find out it doesn't. But if it does, if you can cut back, most people say you need like 70, 75%. Some people say 80 of what you're living on when you're working, you will need that in retirement. Try it out. Try living on 80% of what you have been living and see if that works for you. If you can try that out a couple years before you retire, maybe even 5 years, give it a trial run for, 2-3 months. Won't that make you feel better about once you get to retirement? Hey, I've already tried this out and I can do it. That's a big step to being able to retire early. You got to plan early and just be consistent and do some of these 6 steps. It'll help you out. Number 6, include flexibility in your plan. Number 1, even if you're cutting back down your expenses, make sure you have a little room there to be flexible. Like say if you get in retirement and you're into a bad market. Like my expenses are flexible. Now, I couldn't cut them in half, but they're pretty flexible. They're about $3,000 a month. I could cut that back easily, a couple $100 a month. Be flexible in your expenses, okay? Another way to do that, part-time work, side hustles. If you can get that, like I've got with this YouTube channel and my writing, although my writing isn't really bringing in much money yet. Hey, who knows? It could take off. I don't know. That gives you flexibility, right? You could have worked out your retirement expenses, and then when you're in retirement, you get a part-time job, 10 hours a week. That flexibility goes boom, right? You're bringing in extra money. Also, guys, very important to have an emergency fund. You got to have an emergency fund in case anything crazy happens, right? Where you won't have to dip into your entire retirement investments. What does that mean? Have a lot of cash on hand. I recommend about 2 years. Some of you might go crazy and go 5 years. Yeah, that's a lot of money that's out of the market and not working for you. Although you can take a lot of that cash, which I have done in the past, and put it into T-bills, money market accounts. You can even high interest checking account or savings account. Those work as well. But just make sure you have an emergency fund, guys. It's the worst thing to have something huge happen. You need a new roof you haven't planned for. You got to pull it directly, all of it out of your retirement plan. How about pulling half of that out of your retirement plan, half out of your emergency fund? Right? It works. It works. So there you go, guys. There is our 6 steps that hopefully make retiring early seem not as complicated or take as much money as you might have thought. And as always, from the lovely high desert, we got this.